Hello. I'm going to be talking about disconnected teams and delayed decisions. This is essentially a session where I will go over a bunch of different integrations that projects has. I'll frame them like I would if I were a business owner and I said, how I have these problems, what is this actually going to solve, what's the use case? I will go over each one of them one by one, and I'll show you in the product back and forth how these things help out. So I'm going to show you how project interacts with books, CRM, people, desk, the collaboration tools, and sprints. But the core ideas that we're trying to get at here are that we're trying to solve some basic business problems, right? Whether you have distributed teams, so you have sales teams over here, finance people over here, project management people over here. They're maybe not all in the same office, or maybe they are, but they're on different floors or on different areas and they don't want to walk. Whatever the case is, your teams are distributed. Your tools should not also be totally fragmented to reflect how distributed the people in your teams are. The other alternative is that maybe you're a small business and you wear a bunch of different hats. It doesn't really make sense for you to have totally siloed business tools, right? Your sales tool shouldn't be completely separate from your project management tool, such that you have to connect projects to deals in some arcane way. You shouldn't be separated from your invoicing and accounting, such that you have to pass files and export and import spreadsheets between your finance and your project management tools. These things should be naturally appearing in context for where you need them, and that's what you're going to see some of today. So the core things we're going to talk about: visibility and flexibility across the entire company. As I'm showing you this stuff, I hope this is the message you're getting, that those are the two things that we're trying to drive home: that your company is flexible, even if your company is just you, that you're flexible, and that your data is visible where you need it, when you need it. You don't have to go looking for a bunch of invoices somewhere. You don't have to go trying to figure out what deals are associated with what projects. It's all there. Before I get into it, a very brief primer. Some of you already know this if you've been in here in the room. Some of you don't. There's two general ideas on how to manage projects: waterfall, which is a more traditional style, which you're probably used to, and agile. The classic waterfall example is building a house. You have to build a foundation, and then build the wood and stuff, and then build the roof, and then install stuff in the house, right? But you can't skip any one of those steps. You need the foundation before you can put the roof on. So you have to build up to completing the entire house through regimented and dependent tasks, right? Pretty straightforward. The other methodology is agile, which is generally geared towards something like software development, where you're releasing software at a continued cadence. You probably have a big project that is growing or changing over time. Do you ever really complete it? Maybe, maybe not necessarily. It's not geared toward that. Think of like building an application. Once you launch the app, are you done? No, you have to keep developing it, keep working on it, refining it for an end user experience. That's the agile method. That's what that's designed for. So I'm going to be talking quite a lot about projects, but I'll also show you how projects and sprints can interact to support both project management styles within one project a little bit near the end. This is going to be the format. I'm going to offer a scenario that a business might face, and then show you how these two tools work to try and reconcile this problem. So what happens when sales closes a deal and needs to get services going ASAP? And we go to CRM. This is the CRM. We're all familiar with it to some degree here. Up here are the modules. Let's go to the deals module. And you see, we're a house-style company. We build homes, so we're doing a lot of traditional project management, a lot of waterfall project management. For example, we can see 6-bed, 1-bath home deal. I'll click on that. Here is the deal record. You can see we've moved through all these sales stages to ultimately close and win the deal. On the left, we have a bunch of related lists where we can see relevant information, any documents, any other attachments that are not signature docs, notes left by sales or other teams, right? Any contracts you have open or closed activities, a bunch of stuff, but we'll see Zoho projects here as well. If I click on that, it'll scroll me down, and we'll see we have a deal associated, or a project associated with this deal. It's pulling the deal name, 6-bed, 1-bath home deal. It is active. There's 0% completion, and if I click on it, without exiting CRM, I'm suddenly in the deal. If you saw me or anyone showing projects earlier, you know this is what it looks like. On the left, right, timesheets, tasks, issues, etc. Here are our other projects, but it loads all of this up in CRM. It doesn't kick me out to a new tab and make me navigate to anywhere. I'm still in CRM technically. If I go back to the deal and hit projects, I can even associate an ongoing project. So maybe this looks cool to you, but you have a bunch of projects that are already happening and you think, oh great, now my system's going to be crap because I have to go and figure out some way to associate them. This button is going to be your friend. Find the projects, associate them to the deals, or maybe you just want to try this out. You can hit the new project button. It will automatically associate this new project with the deal we're on. You can create from a template right from here. So as we know, this is a 6-bed, 1-bath home deal. We're going to use the build a house template. We're going to leave a bunch of this other stuff alone here. You can set a rate per hour for work. So let's call it one of them special, $5 deals, $5 per hour. So this is the one I just made. I should have named it something different. But as you remember, I made it from a template. And if I open it up here, here it is. And here are all the tasks. I didn't have to make any of these. These were pre-programmed in the template and ready to go. So your salesperson, if they know what product or what service someone bought, and you have a good, business structure, they should know which project to launch, or worst case, they can talk to a project manager and figure that out. But they launch it from a template and it's ready to go and your projects team can pick it up and take it away from here. So that solves that scenario. What about this scenario? Tasks are getting completed, but I need to start billing. So now in this circumstance, you have your projects and your CRM working together, but you want the billing component to work. One big benefit of what Zoho offers that's you're hard-pressed to find it from a lot of other vendors, and I'm not a salesperson, this is just the truth, is an integration between sales and finance. That's a big deal. And you would think it wouldn't be, but these are two very complex processes, and software is hard. So we understand. But we have that deep connection between our tools, but it extends also to our project management tools. So here I'm choosing a different project. You see, I forgot I was even in CRM. I can stay in here, it doesn't really matter. I am in the house build for Alicia and Gavin. And here we have a few different options we can choose from. If I choose finance, you'll see these invoices here. And we can see we have one that's overdue by 19 days. We have a couple drafts, but let's make a new invoice. So we can say bill up to, let's just choose the 22nd. Group by project tasks. So I want it so that on the invoice, every task has its own line item, and each line item shows the task name and description. I can also include all unbilled expenses, but I'm not going to do that. I'll hit save. And now it's saying, all right, finish building it. It's going to be billed to Alicia Richards. How does it know who we're billing it to? Because this is the person attached to this project. How is this person attached to this project? Because this is the person that's attached to the deal, right? So it's a continuity of data that's running through these tools. And we see there's only one line item within this date range that we gave it. Email contract copy, that's a task it's pulling. Quantity 7, those are the hours that we logged on the task. So our finance tool is now pulling our timesheets right away, putting it here. Non-taxable, $80 per hour, because it's a different project. It's not the one I made before where I put 5. Amount, $560, etc., etc. I can add discounts. I can do all the stuff that you can typically do with your invoicing tool if you're using Zoho Books or Zoho Invoice. Allow partial payments. So it's fully featured here. I can save it and send it. And this will send it to Alicia Richards, the core contact. It will then give me an email template that looks quite bad because I haven't really done much to it, but here it is. I didn't have to write it at least. Attach a PDF as well and hit send. And now here it is. So here's the invoice I just sent. This is the exact PDF that will be sent to Karen Crow or to Alicia Richards from Karen Crow. Alicia Richards is the contact on the deal, and that's the core contact on this project. And now if I go over to Books, which is where a lot of your accounting type people will hang out. I'm now in Zoho Books, and if I go to Sales, and I want to see my invoices, you can see, here's the invoice I just made. Right? So I don't have to now send this to Books, because in fact, what I just did when I made that invoice, all that UI, all that interface, it's pulling directly from Books. So it's not even like I made something in Projects and now it has to shoot it over and replicate it for Books. We're essentially pulling that service into Projects and surfacing it, similar to how we did that in CRM. We're pulling that service and surfacing it in CRM. It's one-to-one. It's not a replication. It is Books. And we can see that it is sent because we sent it in Projects. We can then set reminders, do all the usual stuff, record payment, whatever we would like. And if we update it here and record payment and mark it as paid, I can go to Projects and it'll be marked as paid there. We don't have to change anything or toggle anything. The other thing I can do in here, if I go to, let's see, close this here. Time tracking, projects. Here are all the projects we have ongoing. Remember, we're in Zoho Books right now, but here are all the projects we have that it's pulling from Zoho Projects. So let's look at this Alicia and Given one, and we're going to look at the timesheets for this. Let's say, show me all the time that's been billed this month. And we have a unique view on the project that surfaces more of the finance side information that's important to your finance people. How much you're getting paid per hour, right? The rate per hour, the total logged hours, and this neat chart here, which shows you total logged hours versus those budgeted. So when I made the project, I said, I think this project will take 500 hours. We're showing how much of that is used up here. We've used 61 hours and 3 minutes of the 500. And I can scroll down and see of all the users on the project, who has logged the most hours, which are billable, which are not billed at all this kind of stuff. So I can get a unique perspective on this project from a finance viewpoint. Same thing here, looking at different timesheets, looking at all the timesheets that have been submitted and seeing, because it's relevant to me in finance, have these actually been invoiced? Have I made an invoice with this, or is this just an outstanding bit of work that we've never sent an invoice for? I can look at all of that from in there. So now we've handled billing on our project through invoicing in Zoho Books. But what about making sure things are actually happening efficiently at this point? How can I efficiently assign tasks to avoid burning out my team? I made the deal. We closed it. I got the project going. That was all good. We're invoicing now. People are working on it, but they hate me. I'm assigning too much work. They hate me. I'm burning them out. I'm a bad boss. I should be punished. How can I efficiently assign tasks to avoid burning out my team? Well, we've connected Zoho Projects and Zoho People so that when I go now over back to Projects, all right, and say there's a tiling issue, I need to assign someone to it. I can assign folks. Let's say we're gonna put Karen Crow is gonna be assigned to this. And you see this where we see all these little dots? So I'm now assigning this task to Karen Crow, and I'm saying, all right, when do I want this to start and when do I want this task to end? I can pull up the little calendar to do that. But you see these little dots. All those dots are vacation days marked as time off for Karen Crow. So I know, because I've put it in my HR tool, Zoho People, not to assign tasks to Karen because she's on vacation. So that's not something I did in Projects. I did it in People, and it's pulling it over. And to prove to you that I'm not a liar, if I open this, this is where an HR person is going to spend a lot of time. If there are any time requests off, holidays, vacations, that kind of thing, that's going to show up and be input here in Zoho People. And so we see actually Karen Crow is on leave right now, and these are her vacation days. Right, 7 days available, booked 13. 13 of those were spent, and we saw them in Zoho Projects on the calendar when deciding who should I have do this work. So we know, okay, I can assign tasks efficiently, and I can even go in here for a little extra. This isn't pulled from People, but it's worth seeing. Anything relating to timesheets, anything relating to work allocation, all of that stuff is built in Zoho Projects, but we're getting a full idea of how time is allocated and when nothing should be applied to anyone in terms of work because they're off, right? So we can also see time allocation in here where each task, so let's simplify this for you. I'll close this. So these are our users here in projects. And this is project agnostic. So these are all the users in our projects account. Some of these people are assigned to certain projects, some are assigned to others, but I'm looking at a overall report of my projects account. And each day we have these colors, and those colors indicate how busy someone is. So up here, we see it's not full, it's green. That's because they have 3 hours of allocated work based on the tasks. When you make a task, you can say this task is going to take 1 hour, 2, 3, 8, however many it is. So they have a task that costs them 3 hours of work today, 5 hours of free time. So they're available today. Meanwhile, our individual here, Karen Crow, all of these are red because they have 16 hours of work allocated to them, during which they have an 8-hour workday. Some of you think this is good. I tend to think this is not good for Karen Crow, and her mental health will suffer. So let's open this up and see, okay, where's all this work coming from? We can see here, this 8-hour task, right here, right? Every day is full with these tasks. Well, I can pull this off. Wilfred is, right. So now we see she's full up because she still has 8 hours, but at least we know she doesn't have 16. I know not to add any more at the very least. And if I wanted, I could go in and chop that task up and make it so that it's not just 8 hours, split into multiple ones, and chop it up and move it all around and make things a little more fair. But right away, I can get a sense that things are not good by just seeing all this red and allocate appropriately. So things are working with people now. What if tickets are coming in that directly relate to my ongoing project? So everything is going well, work is being allocated, but people are not using maybe the channels I prefer for support. Or maybe they are. Maybe I told them, hey, if anything goes wrong with your home, submit a ticket on the builder's website, on the customer portal, and we'll get to it. Well, sure, but now they're sending a support ticket for a project that isn't always clear. Someone might just be like, okay, here's my email ID, here's the problem, please help. How do we integrate that more into the broader project that's happening? I'm going to go over here to our little support portal here. This is the out-of-the-box support portal generated by Zoho Desk. So when you start Zoho Desk, you'll have just a very, very basic, clear, clean-cut support portal. This one just had some stuff turned off, hence the big white space. But this is where the person would go. You probably have a link to this support portal, and emails you send to the person. If you need any help, submit a ticket. So let's hit the submit a ticket example or button. And we're going to say, we are Alicia at example.com. And, oh, that's not my contact name. That's my email. I'm going to say, we're Alicia. And the subject is, giant hole in house. You made me a house, and no good. Big old hole in there. All right, so Alicia's not like hyper literate, but she's good enough. All right, then we do this where we're looking at this holy hammer. I don't know what this is. Yep, it's a hammer. All right, great. All right, so your ticket ID was created. So now Alicia says, all right, I've submitted my ticket. We're good to go. I'm now in Zoho Desk. So your support person, this is where they're going to spend a lot of their time hanging out in Zoho Desk handling tickets. Here's the ticket I just made. Oh, look, a new ticket. Let's open the ticket. You'll notice some similar UI things. Here are all the tickets on the left. Here's a bunch of different ways we can view extra information about the ticket. Here is the information of the ticket. We see the contact info, no ticket owner, unassigned, right? And here is the ticket that was just submitted. Well, as a support person, I can right away add this to Zoho Projects by hitting these 3 dots and hitting create task. So it's automatically pulled a project, house build for Alicia and Gavin, because she is associated with that project. So my support person doesn't have to guess who's this Alicia, right? If we know, hey, they submitted a ticket, it's related to a project, I don't have to pass off all the information as to what project it is. That's automatically going to populate for me. The ticket name is pulled from the subject. I can set a due date, or I can leave this up to the projects people. We'll handle that by June 21st, 2030. Deal with it, Alicia. And I can hit submit. Okay. So now we see right here, there's been a task that's made in the activity feed of the ticket in Zoho Desk. So I know that it is relating to Zoho projects. And if I go over to Zoho projects, yeah. So here's the task that has now been made. So Alicia submitted in the support portal generated by Zoho Desk a ticket. Your support person, following the rules, said, okay, I know this is related to this task or to this project. Send it over there, move on. It's up for them to handle it. And I can hit view on this. And you'll see these little buttons over here. And here is the ticket. So now the person in Desk in your support tool can see the task that's made in your projects tool. Your project manager or people working on this in projects can see the ticket that was made in Desk. So we're trying to surface this stuff and make it as visible as possible for the teams that need it, given the context of the tool, right? And I can even hit view ticket in Desk, or view ticket in Desk, or view the task in Desk, because it can be turned into a task in Desk. Desk also has tasks. So things are going good now. Tickets are being associated to appropriate projects. So the data's flowing well, but my communication's out of sync. That's when we bring in Meeting, WorkDrive, and Zoho Click. So things are going well, but maybe your teams aren't communicating super well. Maybe we need to handle this giant hole. I can make a Click conversation about this task while looking at the task. So I'm back in projects. I'm looking at the task made from the support ticket. And when I hit the Click button, it says new conversation. I can make a conversation about this right away. It'll add the participants that are assigned to this task. So if I have 5 people assigned to handle this giant hole situation, it'll automatically add them to this chat channel right here. Likewise, if I want to make a meeting about this, it will automatically add people. I find a task with more folks assigned to it. So automatically it's going to add Wilfred and Karen Crow because we see they're the owners of the task. We see it was made by Karen Crow, this per overall creation. We can invite them to this meeting. Invite them. So an email's been sent. In their email, they click it, open it, and suddenly they have a meeting where all of this information is automatically surfaced to them. So I don't have to make a meeting and make clear what task it's about. That stuff is going to be linked in that email. Likewise, I actually already have a chat channel relating to this task. And if I hit it, we see that I'm already chatting, and in the Zoho Click chat window, at the top of it, this task is linked. So we know exactly what we're talking about when we go to Zoho Click, which I will do now. This is where I spend a lot of my time. Personally, at my day job is in my Click channels, because there's a bunch of different teams. I'm working on a bunch of different projects. So I wouldn't want to have to bust over to projects constantly to try and figure some of this stuff out. I would like it if this stuff was handleable in this window, and it is here. Here's the tiling issue, right? Here's the task itself. We see its status, start date, end date. I just haven't set those in projects, so they're blank. The priority of it from project, the task list it's associated to. In this case, we have a task list called general, which is not hyper specific. And there's the chat we just saw in projects. Okay, I'm just chatting with myself in here, but we'll see it in both places. Okay. Filing issues. Okay, so there it is, right? All in one spot. The other thing that's very cool is the project spot. So I have the project spot installed so that you'll notice whenever I was doing anything, I was seeing little notifications down here at the bottom. That's because I have a couple different things turned on. One is the project spot, which you can set up to really customize to let you know when you have a new task assigned to you, when a task is closed. You can have it notify you when a project is started. You can really customize it. You can even tell it, hey, just give me my 5 most pressing tasks based on due date. It's all within these bot actions down here. So I can hit my tasks, and it'll say, here's the next 5 tasks that you need to handle. And I can click on view to pull up any of these within projects For example, I hit view on tiling issue. It's giving me the project name, all within click still, who it's been assigned to, when it's due, their priority. I can even mark it as closed, add comments in here. So I don't have to go all the way to projects to do that. I can do it right here, or I can have it link me out to project to handle it from there. Oh, and work drive is the last thing I want to show you about collaboration here. So the other thing to know is that I don't want to have like a separate Dropbox. I want to have one core document storage place for all the documents related to this business. So here I am in the house build project, and I have these documents attached to it. I have this Zoho Writer doc, which I can click, and it's going to open up in Zoho Writer so I can see all this information. And by the way, this document is built on a template. So again, project's good for repeatable processes. We're trying to minimize the constant busy work. I can build templated documents and pull in those templated documents into a project. I won't have to rewrite them all the time. If I make a templated project and deploy it, it will attach the relevant documents per my specifications on that template. Does that make sense? A lot of words. So in this wonderful contract, it's your house will be completed in a reasonable amount of time with no delays except those agreed upon beforehand. So already we're sounding above board, very trustworthy, very good. A lot of asterisks, which you like to see when buying a home, I assume. And of course, it's reasonable as defined by Karen Crow and Associates, agreed upon by Karen Crow and Associates, and beforehand, but also later. So things are looking good. I'll never own a home, but I know this is not a thing I would do. I would not sign that document, but it's too late. They already have, and that feels good. The other thing you can do, same thing. This is a templated legal document attached to this project. So we have a sign field. This is a sign field put in here using Zoho Sign, has field properties, all that stuff. Project contract template. Do you agree to pay Karen Crow 50% of your life savings to plan your house build? No house is guaranteed upon completion of the project. That sounds good to me. There's another asterisk. What's going on? The remainder of your life savings will be donated to the Karen Crow Foundation for house demolition. So we see there's an interesting sort of business occurring here where houses are built and destroyed in perpetuity. I assume this is like free energy and how you unlock it. You sign this contract, you're good to go forever. We even can attach JPEGs here, like a house sketch for the architect. All right. The data's flowing well, but communications out of sync, not anymore because we connected meeting, work, drive, and click. So wherever people are at, they can connect together. But what if there are teams with different project management methods? I talked about Zoho Projects and how it does waterfall. Talked about Zoho Sprints and how it does agile. But it's possible, and we had a customer up here earlier, that your company might want to use both. You might want to use the waterfall method for the core project, but within that project, you have teams that are using the agile method. So one example might be you're using, the waterfall method to build a home, but you have teams that are developing like software for special Internet of Things devices in the house. You want to know their progress in projects, but how are they going to track their own progress? They shouldn't be forced to use the waterfall method to do that. They're probably going to want to use agile because that works for software development a lot more. But you want visibility on how they're doing, and they probably want visibility on how well the project overall is doing. And so we built that within Zoho Projects. So if I click on this Agile Consulting project down here, we will see these are actually sprint tasks. You can see this little icon, sprint task. So you'll see the classic story syntax of as a user, I want blah, blah, blah. That's how stories tend to be structured within Zoho Sprints, because remember, you're always orienting toward a release or an update or something. As a user, I want, what's it say? I want to use the survey to appear clean and simple. So that means when the development team is making a survey, they want it to appear nice and clean. How are we going to do that? We're not sure, but we have a task oriented toward that. And if I click on View, it'll open. I'm still in Zoho Projects, mind you. It'll open this agile task, and we can see others in the list, right? But I need to go over the survey questions with several teams. We'll see other information that is typically put in survey, like estimation points, but those are appearing here in projects, and I can't edit them here because that's on the sprint side of thing, but I do want to have visibility on them. I can edit them if I want, but we've closed this off so that your projects people are working on the waterfall stuff, but they need visibility here. Your sprints people are working on the sprints side of things. And I can click over to actually open this little backlog item, this user story in Zoho Sprints, if I actually want to get in there and work on this in more detail. And now I can do all the stuff you can typically do in sprints and might want to do. If I go back over here, but you can see I can also view and modify their status within projects. So I need to know whether this task is done so I can move on with the rest of the project, because it does fit in the overall structure of a waterfall project, but it isn't made to be managed in the waterfall style. So we're giving an ability to do both in a hybrid manner. So I have a lot of icons on the screen. Can I fit more? We'll find out in a moment. Because first I'm going to talk about this man named Parl Johnson, who's a customer of ours for Nuvia, but he's a good example of someone that's using a hybrid software method. So he has a bunch of employees, 1,500, across 30 locations. They used over 80 apps before switching to Zoho. If you thought working within Zoho was bad, check that out. That would be hell to me. I would not be happy with my life if I was doing that. So they switched to Zoho and things have improved quite a bit, but they build new locations and auto-calculate timelines using Zoho projects. They're a dental implant company, but they don't just do like I'm in the office working on the patient stuff. They build the centers and build the technology that helps run the centers. So you're looking into classic, building construction, but you're also looking at the tech side of things, where they do have teams working on software development and not functioning in the typical waterfall fashion. So the development team uses sprints. They connect projects to CRM, WorkDrive, collab tools, just like I showed you. And the development team uses Scrum management and bug tracking. That's another thing you can do. You can track bugs within Zoho Sprints, and you can pull those from Zoho Desk. Zoho Desk doesn't just send items to projects. It can also send items to sprints, bugs to sprints. This would be a typical thing. Imagine Alicia filled out another support ticket, but mentioned, hey, this is a software issue with my house. My Internet of Things stuff that you set up doesn't work. Or in this case, hey, we need some help. Some of the tech you set up for our dental implant company is not functioning properly. We have a bug. Submit that ticket. But you don't want to then have that go to your projects team, who then have to transfer it to sprints, right? You can transfer that straight to sprints from Desk. So it's versatile that way. And then their labs team and new location deployment teams work within projects and use the Kanban task management system in there. So you have Kanban in both, but because they're doing a more waterfall method, they're using the Kanban in projects in particular. So the results from switching, they saw over 7,000 estimated savings per month, $15,000 saved per opening by reducing just mistakes and retraining. Because processes are repeatable now, they don't have to retrain and rebuild and constantly spend a bunch of time, including 12 hours per month saved per employee, which is a pretty big amount of savings per employee. Any employee that worked on a project, whether it be 10, that'd be 120 hours per month saved working on that project, which of course you can see how this $7,000 adds up quick. So we have our hybrid project working. We know when people are taking time off. Our customers can contact us through Desk. All this stuff's working well, but how can any of it be tracked or improved across such a large system? That's where Zoho Analytics comes into play. So here is a Zoho Projects Plus dashboard. It's Projects Plus, but this essentially is just saying we've plugged in multiple tools through Projects Plus into Analytics. Don't think you need Projects Plus in order to do this. That's just the name of the dashboard. And this was automatically generated by connecting our projects and analytics deployments. There wasn't code involved. It was just basically turn it on, flick it on. And likewise here, this dashboard, the items dashboard, is focused on our sprints deployment. And this also was automatically generated. We can see we have 4 items in April, up from the typical 2. 0 items, 0 bugs in April as well. So that's a good thing to see. We can look at the items completion trend. We were very busy in January and things really fell off after that. Not a great company, as you're learning here. Numbers are going down, bars are disappearing. But now we know that, and we can actually track and improve this. And all of these are auto-generated and can be edited to your desire. We have full filters to apply to all of these, or we can go into just one of them here, open it up. Do all the cool stuff you can do in analytics if you've seen any of that stuff. Ask Zia for insights on it. change the way it's displayed, right? Edit it with the full power of analytics to change variables, all kinds of stuff like that. Auto-generated, but totally user customizable. Very, very nice. So there's one last little case study here, but I think I've made the point here. They're also using the Agile and Waterfall method together. And being a tech company, this is typical, but they're broad, right? Tech companies tend to be pretty broad, have their hands in a lot of different pots. That was a good example of that. And they were having a bunch of wasted time and effort just trying to work with just Trello, just typical project management tools, until they switched to something that could handle hybrid. And they ended up associating all docs and tracking sprint progress with those reports on the report side of things in fully hybrid tools built for Scrum projects as well. So not just Kanban, but also if you want to meet every day, you can automatically generate reports on that kind of stuff as well.